So if you guys weren't aware, there's a Super Major this last weekend. Super Majors are awesome. If you can see a ridiculous amount of players, there was 200 players at this event. So let's see, an Ork did end up doing quite well at this event. And actually 2 different Ork players. So number 8 and number 9. So we're going to take up both of their lists because it's worth it. And I want to start with this list because this is the funny list. This is the list that I appreciated. Whoa, we got the Warbosses and Warboss spam. You guys know I've been a fan of Warbosses and Meganobz, Mega Warbosses since the tier list video, since the post data slate. I brought them up. I brought about their AP, their durability themselves, and it looks like it's coming into fruition now that everybody's getting tired of space. So we'll see that throughout kind of the list as we go through here. And it's not just me, everybody can kind of see it coming. So we have triple Warbosses in Mega Armor, no enhancements. 2 Warbosses, no enhancements. Beast Boss and Squigosaur with no enhancements. Mazrod Scragbag, a Death Killer Ward Trike with Super Cyborg Body. I'm sure he just didn't have the points to play with the Beast Boss and Squigosaur with Edwap. I'm sure he just didn't have it. We have 3 units of 5-man of Meganobz. That's obvious because that's perfect for transportation. And then he just went with 2 5-man units of Nobz. He felt like these were good enough. He used them as minor scalpels, right? Instead of being bigger ones, he just took some smaller ones out. Trim a little ward off or something, right? 2 units of Grotz, a Stormboy unit, and a Warbiker unit. But then he also fit in 5 trucks. So something that just stuck out to me right away on this list is he was down to give up fixed secondaries. He was like, you know what? If I lose, you end up, it's a kill more, win more kind of situation for you, because if you end up doing it to me, I guess you tabled me. Is the way he must be thinking it. Or he just wasn't assuming people were going to take enough fix for him to care, because he could give up, bring it down, assassinate, and he just chose to not care about that. So being aware of that, he still went for it. Usually I don't tell people to do it, but at top levels you can do it, especially if you decide you're just going to go for all killing potential, which is what he did. So let's see what he ended up going into, because sometimes that really does go into play a lot, right? There's a chance that he might not have seen some of the things that I think are going to become problems. But right off the bat, boom, Vanguard, Space Marine, Ultramarines. We've seen someone like John Lennon already did great with this, right? So we have, let's see how much different this is, right? We have the Biologists with the Blade Driven Deep, Malleus Calgar, and Uriel Ventris. So people are bringing Ultramarines because they love the characters. Calgar is amazing for his beat stick, fallback, charge, and shoot. The Blade Driven Deep enhancement can give it on so many different people. But so we have aggressors. That's obvious where the apothecary Biologist is most likely going to go. Centurion Devastator Squad. These are kind of making their appearance. It's kind of that whole set. They're trying to stack the fact that they have a 2-up armor save mace with stealth and light cover guys, right? So they're over here looking like, well, I have a 2-up save. You're making me -1 to hit. I'm armor of contempt and I'm in cover. So I'm going to take great armor saves. That's really what a lot of these Space Marine players think when you're thinking about these why they're bringing some of these different kind of units and gun platforms. Also, these guys are dual performance, right? They'll fight you, they'll shoot you, they'll hold a position. They're quite expensive, but I'm surprised to see them on a Vanguard, kind of, but not really, because they can use their Vanguard redeploy shenanigans and such. We have a Company of Heroes, Eradicator Squad, Inceptor, Big Break, right? We know they're coming, and of course they're both with plasmas. That's I think that's where you can see other Space Marines are teching for power armor as well, and you're going to see that as we go over these lists and probably list in your own local meta. Think about it. Other people you go against at RTTs are going to actually be teching for anti-armor, anti-tank as well, because they can see that that's going to be a problem for them. Then this last Inceptor Squad, another plasma squad, right? So even though bolters on paper might get you the same amount of damage against a lot of different units, when it comes down at the end of the day, people just want the AP. And then you ended off with 3 units of scouts and a Caladius assassin. So this is quite a meta list, a little bit of elite kind of list, because there's really nothing to contest at the mid table reliably. You're really sorry, the Magnus Calgar is obviously going with the aggressors when I said that earlier. I'm brain fart. But there's not really that much other than these aggressors that are trying to go up in the table and maybe dropping those Centurions. And when you're going against Orks like that and you don't bring something that can actually hold the table, I can see you getting kind of running over, and that's what happened here at 91 points. So still quite a meta Space Marine list, but that's when you're so counter the meta and you're expecting to be shot at, and then you run into Orks, you get taken off your feet, and that's what happened here. So let's see what happens with another list that might not have been ready for that, but were they? We have Space Wolves Stormland, so they're trying for it, right? So they're looking to get stuck in for the most part. We got Bjorn the Fell-Handed. He I believe he gives them like a free CP or something like that too, or a free strike, or maybe I think he charges you for an extra. I got to check that up. David will yell at me. Lieutenant with combi weapon, Wolf God Battle Leader on the Thunderwolf, and a Wonder Wolf on Wolf Lord on Thunderwolf again with Fury of the Storm. We have a Lancer, a Redemptor Dreadnought, another Redemptor Dreadnought, a scout squad, a Thunderwolf cavalry unit, just a small one. Then we have another big one, and then a small one. Vindicator, which is actually quite excellent to be honest. 2 whirlwinds and another assassin. So this guy didn't go overboard, and I'm gonna bring a bunch of cavalry units, most likely because he realized I just can't move. And it's just so many points invested into one spot. I do appreciate that he brought Redemptor Dreadnoughts on that list too, and he did mix it up. So this could be a challenging matchup to the Orc player depending on the mission and how he really plays. It really does depend. Did this person front load those Redemptor Dreadnoughts to try to soak up the Space Wolf? To try to soak up the Orc player, or did he come forward with this Thunderwolf trying to get a charge off initially? I think that's actually the wrong way to play it. So I'd really like to hear how that game went out, but he did end up putting 99 points in on that. And the reason why I say this is actually important for them as a Space Marine player to put these first towards us is because then we have to put our anti-tank, our hard-hitting stuff towards that. There's a chance that it gets shot on the way in, and then it also takes damage if it doesn't end up winning in the fight in one shot. Then it gets taking trade damage with the Dreadnought sometimes, like say Squid gets stuck in a fight there, then the Wolves come in, right? But if a Space Wolf player gets kind of antsy and they charge at you, you're like, oh, I'm gonna fight death, I'm gonna countercharge you, I'm gonna pick you up, and then you're just stuck in the back with just little armor. So this can go either way. It really comes down to how the player plays, but 99 points, so he obviously figured that out quite easy. Going into third game, we have wait, was that oh no, that was about to say it was the same thing, but this is not the same thing because this is an Iron Storm, right? So look at that, how many times we've already just looked in the Space Marines right away, guys. And luckily he had the list he had. My goodness, because think about going on the Space Marines and Buddy brought all of this AP, durability, and then Death Killer War Trek for distraction. My boy was just all over them, and the trucks, right? So you're just constantly popping trucks and the dudes are getting out in heavy armor. So let's go back to this list. I just thought it was kind of funny that it's like, dude, he definitely read the meta of there's all Space Marines. So we got Bjorn Felhunted again, Lieutenant again, of course, and then but this time he has Master of the Machine aura on there, Tech Marine with the Targeting Ray aura, and then Adept of the Messiah on the other Tech Marine. So this is just for their lethals, and then their all the other different capabilities that they have for being in the armored Iron Storm Assault Force. Sorry when I'm for naming everything, everybody knows already. Gladiator Reaper, Inceptors, another Redemptor. Okay, so far this is just almost like a copy and paste of what you expect on most Space Marines lists, but that's why it's important that we go over these guys, because we got to see what people are actually playing into in the meta and why they're playing it. Triple Whirlwind, so Whirlwinds are still back in the game. And we're seeing them in the top, or in a lot of these big events. They're actually bringing a lot of them. And then we got a Cladius Assassin again. Run that boy over. Just saying, if you guys ever play against that and he ends up on the table, just take your truck and tank shock that boy off the table. It's always funny. So with this, he was going for what we all expect is going to be a hard matchup for Orks. Sometimes it depends on what level they're playing at. It comes down to the mission and how many scouts, I think, in my opinion, how many scouts they have. This guy didn't really have enough to bother Orks sometimes, but really this is a difficult matchup for Orks. The fact that Redemptor Dreadnoughts can reduce our damage, and most of us are sitting at a damage 2 on almost everything, even we rely on the dev wounds to end up throwing people away. This detachment does give us quite a difficult matchup, and that's why when I went to the RTT, I ended up bringing gas, because I actually looked for the Nobz to be able to throttle on using Unbridled Carnage for critical 5 so that they can wound easily on Redemptor Dreadnoughts, even if they're harder to wound, put more volume into them, but also Gaz himself can go and punch out Dreadnoughts. And as you can see, Brian's third game was this list, and this list is actually the game that he ended up losing to. So it is winnable. When you see this, don't be disheartened. A lot of the top meta lists are going to be the Iron Storm detachment and armies. And for Orks, we are having a problem, and that's why we made a video about it, because even though he brought all of this AP, all of these guys, the mission matters. And when you have all those trucks, but they have even plasma cannons and whirlwinds and all those things are perfect profiles, not to mention the strats that they can get a bunch of sustain, they can get we know that they can just end up compounding these attacks and damages to just destroying even volumes of Orks. And so this is a difficult matchup for him. Oh wait, I was looking at the wrong guy. Oh my god, I thought that he lost that one. Guys, I was being a dork right here. I was going in, but either way, it is actually a difficult matchup. But no, he did win this one, guys. I was being a butthead. Look, I thought it was, but it actually was the guy behold him. Adam ended up losing his third round. No, he won this one. So I still agree, stand on everything I say, because if you don't bring this much AP, as we've seen here, then you would have got killed. He ended up winning this one. I was like, wait a second, I thought he won this one. No, he did, look at right here with Brian Seipp. He did win this third matchup. I was tripping, guys. Sorry, forgive me. It gets a little hexy out here. But I still stand on what I said. It is a difficult matchup, and you have to skew so hard as an orc player to actually take all that out. So he did have with the AP and fighting on death and maybe the trucks and whatever the mission does still does matter as well. I'm still going to stand on that. He did end up winning that third matchup. So let me step out of the mud here, move on to his fourth matchup. This one he did lose. He lost to Steven Box. I think we know who Steven Box is. So, and he's playing Space Marine, Gladius Task Force, Black Templars. Guys, forgive me for the last one. Sorry, I feel silly right now. So we have High Marshal Helbricht. He's ridiculous for his points with durability and fighting capability. Judiciar with Honor Vehement. Librarian and Phobos armor. A Marshal, another ridiculous person for 80 points, and then another ridiculous person for 80 points with the Emperor's Champion. So this is all just cheap fighting tech. And for orcs, we kind of run the same thing, right? If you think about it with the characters you're trying to bring. So you have the Assault Intercessors, Centurion Devastators, Infiltrators, Land Raider, but look at these guys. These are the Godhammer last cannons. Now, why? The reason I pointed that out is because looking at other Space Marine lists, this guy decided I'm going to bring Godhammer last cannon. He's actually teching into other Space Marines and other armored detachments as well, which is something we should pay attention to. Then he brought these smaller units of they call them smaller units. These units of sword brethrens, right? So 1, 2, 3. He brought 3 of them. And as you can see, their different weapons actually make them better, more reliable to different profiles because they have a thunder, they have lightning claws, they have power weapons. And then he still comes with the 3 Scout Marines because the Scout Marines are ridiculous, the Scout Squads, for their point cost. This comes down to generalship, of course. But one thing to keep in mind, guys, is with these Land Raiders and with those named character, you can actually be in this Land Raider, move forward with the Land Raider, get out because it has an assault ramp, advance, and charge. And orcs don't like that. I always say that on this channel that orcs don't like when you can take the initiative away from them. That's why I'm personally looking for maybe some scouting and infiltrating units as I'm thinking more about how the meta is evolving and shifting. Or I could just do what this guy did and go through all Meganobz, right? I'm just kidding. But that's what I'm thinking is as things evolve, you might need to bring that kind of stuff because as people can delay you and play the game as they want, they might be able to initiate fights on you too. And I don't know how this game went, and I don't want to assume too much, but something of having this reliable firepower, being able to get in an orc's face, shoot them, and fight them with the combined arms, I could see as being a very difficult matchup for him. But still scoring quite well with 79 points. And then last but certainly not least, his 5th game was against Ben Jones, and he had Aeldari. So Artark Wayleaper and the Phoenix Gem, Death Jester, and then Fuging. So he's trying to get up with these characters and do silly stuff. Then he has a Starweaver, and the Wave Serpent. So this is interesting because he decided he's going to bring transports. I've heard about this being a thing, a meta, a style of Aeldari to play as well with these transports, because you can drop off, I think, these fire dragons and such, which makes it interesting. So then he has these fire dragons, a Night Spinner for indirect, slowing your movement. Only one though. That's nice, not going too crazy. Rangers, and I think these guys can actually infiltrate, I think, or something. Shadow Specters, Striking Scorpions, Swooping Hawks, a trope, Warwalkers, Warp Spiders, and what do they even have? What do they have? This is their weapon. The Spinners? Okay. Yeah, so this guy's playing like an MSU transport style of Aeldari, and interesting enough, I played into something similar like this recently, and I had the same success. What it is that any version of Orks units can actually, like, if even a diminished unit, let's say 4 Storm Boys, a Warboss, and 3 Nobz, can destroy most Aeldari units. So even on the way in, as we're taking casualties, we can end up destroying these Aeldari units. And we have the kind of the speed to roll them down, but it does take high level play. It does depend on the mission as well. And either way, great job to Brian Seipp. I don't remember, I'm reading your name, I'm sorry, buddy. But 4-1 is amazing, especially with that score. Look at that score: 91, 99, 99, 79, 100. So he almost, I'm just round up just for the sake of it, 300s, 79, and 91. So great job by you.